Welcome to another Telecom Innovator video. This is Light Reading's sponsored video series where we talk about some of the people, technologies, and ideas moving the industry forward. My name is Phil Harvey. I'm an editor here at Light Reading. And today we're at Cisco Systems, and I'm speaking with Omar Sultan from Cisco Systems. Omar, thanks for giving us a bit of your time today.
I'm happy to be here.
And we're going to talk about artificial intelligence for IT operations, or AI ops. So obviously network automation is nothing new, but the way networks are being automated is different now. How is AI ops changing the way that we're automating networks?
So you're right, we've been automating for a while with a number of tools. I think if you look at operations in general, there's two phases. There's making decisions about what to do, and then there's actually the doing part. And we've gotten really good at automating the doing part. There are lots of different tools, Ansible, Python scripting, NSO is a tool that my team builds that does that. But the challenge has been there's still the decision-making part, and that often becomes the controlling agent, if you will, on how fast an organization can move. And we really haven't had great technology tools up to that point. And now with AI, agents and those kind of things, we're starting to get to a point where we can actually codify the decision-making, we can codify some of the organizational expertise into the tools as well. So, when we talk about what's the difference between automation and autonomy, I think it's really being able to take some of that decision-making, reasoning, things that have been purely human tasks up to this point, and start incorporating them into the tools.
Yeah, that's fascinating because, a lot of folks in the consumer side sort of interchangeably use machine learning and AI, but you're actually talking about the network having the capability of looking at a situation, making a judgment call based on the information that's coming in.
For sure, and I think the nice thing, or the important thing with AI, even machine learning, algorithms, all those things, they deal very well with situations they haven't necessarily seen before.
Okay.
A lot of the automation, even you see things like auto remediation today, but it's very rigid. Like if for this particular set of circumstances, take this action. But if it's a little bit off that, then the tools are like, they kind of shrug a little bit, and
Sure.
AI is squishy. It's a little bit fuzzy, so it deals with those things a little bit better.
What's it reasonable to expect AI to be able to do today? And then if we fast forward a bit, like say go 2 or 3 years into the future, how is that going to change?
So it's a good question. I think the challenge is there's so much hype right now around AI. I think it's finding the balance between being skeptical and being optimistic about what you can do. I think what AI is very good for right now is kind of the read-only analysis types of things, going through the mountains of data that your network generates and finding patterns and trends and those kinds of things that maybe aren't obvious or hard to figure out for a human looking at the same information. I think then that progresses to not just doing the analysis, but starting to make recommendations. Kind of needs to understand what's normal for your network and how things work and say, okay, I saw this pattern. This is a recommendation of what you should maybe do to handle a security issue or performance or those kinds of things. Then I think from there you progress to actually being able to take action and say, okay, this is the issue we saw, this is recommend action. And I think we have human in the loop for a long time, but it's like, hey, do you want me to do this? And you press a button, say yes. And I think there's the speed at which the technology evolves, but I think there's also the operations, they know they need a certain level of maturity, you need to build trust in the tools. So this is kind of it's the classic, I think it's a Bill Gates quote, we overestimate what will get done in 2 years and underestimate what will happen in 10. Right. I think AI ops will very much follow that same pattern.
Yeah, and I like that there's a natural progression in the decision making and the doing part of it. It's not just flip a switch, because that's part of the problem with the hype is everybody you just turn on a switch one day and then it does it for you. And it's like, no, you've actually talked about a nice logical progression of getting from here to there. How does one go about incorporating AI ops into their organization? Be it an enterprise or service provider, how do they get started, and what are some of the first steps there?
For us, when I talk to customers, I really recommend they stay grounded in useful things, because there's certainly a lot of science projects, there's a lot of gee whiz stuff. I say start with projects or tools that help impact things, KPIs, things you already track. Whether it's time to problem resolution, those kinds of things, and that way you automatically have a baseline built in to tell if the new tool is actually doing anything useful or not. And really start progressing with really they're not the sexiest solutions, but can tell if we're actually doing useful stuff, and then kind of follow the the baseline I was talking about. Start going from read-only to getting more fancier tools, building expertise. I think the other piece of that is invest time staying abreast of the technology because it is evolving very quickly.
Sure.
So kind of keep a toe in the water at least and see what's new and give stuff a try and see if it works. If it doesn't work, but I think you can't abandon your classic, rigor when adopting tools, and make sure it actually does something useful, and the AI is actually contributing, and it's just not a bright shiny that looks cool. But
yeah, because there is that kind of. I can imagine there's that kind of pressure on the executive set to sort of just quickly invest, but maybe they don't know, all the capabilities or things to watch out for.
Everyone wants to look like they're doing something.
Yes.
But actually, don't confuse action and motion.
Yeah, that's like I said, it's very sound advice. I think well, I'd be curious to find out sort of how is Cisco incorporating AI into its strategy and into its operations.
So at a company level, we've really woven AI into everything that we're doing. So we're looking at it on multiple levels, from infrastructure we'd expect to things like security, to data management, to things like professional services and those kinds of things. And I think that's helpful for our customers because they're new at this too. So it's nice to kind of have the one-stop shop where you can have a trusted partner that can help you with all aspects of this, not just a piece of technology. And one of the more interesting areas and part of what we're working on is really the operations piece of this. Mm-hmm. And we spend a lot of time trying to knit those things together and kind of help our customers develop a more cohesive, holistic strategy, not piece parts.
That makes sense. Okay, to wrap up, what are can you talk about any of the specific things your team is working on? Maybe give us something to look forward to down the road.
Yeah, sure. So we're working on we're building out an agentic AI platform to do AI operations types of things. We're looking at it as AI as a functionality that layers onto our existing tool set, as opposed to its own thing that you need to buy and adopt. So we'll be releasing our first couple of agents as part of our Crosswork portfolio, which do things like config drift analysis, anomaly detection, and those kinds of things. And then they kind of plug into the broader corporate strategy, where it's kind of, one of the cooler things is we have this consistent AI assistant across all our tools, and our Crosswork tool will also fold into this. And longer term, we see this as a way of being able to shift what the operational interface looks like, where you've had tools and dashboards and those kinds of things, and they'll still have a role. But now you can kind of go and ask, unbounded questions and say, okay, so why is my network traffic to Seattle kind of choppy?
Right.
And not necessarily need to know what tools to ask or what information. And the consistent interface allows us to then go figure out, oh, you need to get this information from this tool or this information from that data store. So we kind of talk about the death of dashboard, where today most tools are dashboard based, and we tell the tool what we need to know, and we want to get we kind of see we get to the point where we wake up in the morning, instead of us checking the dashboard, we wake up in the morning and our dashboard tells us, okay, these are the things that are going on in the network that you probably want to pay some attention to.
That's great. And people can kind of focus on whatever it is their business really is.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Omar, this has been really enlightening, and thanks so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you.